Greetings and salutations, gamers. Big Shit here. In my latest video, I took a look into the Project Epoch Warrior talent tree, comparing it to both the Vanilla and TBC talent trees. Today, we'll have all three talent trees open simultaneously for your viewing pleasure. One of the biggest changes Epoch is making to Warlocks is the addition of the Cataclysm spell class Banes, alongside rebalancing of their AoE spells, talent trees, and much more. The Epoch devs have delivered onto us a doozy here with these changes. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Alright, so we're here on the Project Epoch website going over the overview. Let the deep dive commence. So as I said in the introduction, the biggest change here in my opinion would be the curses and banes. So curses are an exclusive ability that only let you have one per target, and this can be extremely restrictive when you are forced to provide utility curses such as Curse of Elements. Because of this, we have changed Curse of Agony, Curse of Doom, and Curse of Exhaustion, and Curse of Tongues into Bane, such as Bane of Agony. You can only have one curse and one bane on the target, allowing you to use more of your abilities against enemies in group environments. Amplifying Curse has also been changed to Amplifying Bane. In TBC, they were all curses, so you'd have a Curse of Recklessness Warlock, a Curse of Elements, you'd have a Doom Warlock, etc, etc. And now you won't have to worry about that. You'll have a Warlock able to do Curse of like Recklessness and Curse of Bane. Curse of Bane? What the hell? Curse of or Bane of Doom, because Bane of Doom is the big hard-hitting spell, and it like takes over a minute or two. I don't even remember. Is it a minute? I think it's 1 minute. And then it does like a huge blump of damage. So you won't need as many warlocks per group. One warlock won't be crying because he's the elements bitch. He won't be sitting there crying and seething. He'll be ecstatic to know that he gets to do big damage just like the Doom Warlock would have been doing. Next up, Seed of Corruption and Rain of Fire. So anyone familiar with Burning Crusade knows that Seed of Corruption is an extremely powerful ability. It completely overshadows most other area of effect abilities in the game, and using multiple warlocks, you can trivialize many dungeon pulls. For the sake of balance and the health of dungeon runs in the game, Seed of Corruption has had some of its power moved to the Affliction talent tree, and it now requires the target to take additional damage for the effect trigger. In addition, Rain of Fire has been changed so that I can critically hit, better synergizing with the talents in the destruction tree. Primarily, these changes should bring these two abilities closer depending on your talent build. So yeah, that's a good change. In TBC, everyone knows Seed of Corruption, and unless you're Bobby Boy playing Demonology Warlock Hellfiring in melee range in TBC, yeah, like everyone's spamming Sneed. So a good change. Seed of Corruption is a bit OP. And I'm not necessarily a Warlock main. I've actually never played Warlock in TBC, but seeing it, I just like Morogrim and all these fights, you just need a ton of Warlocks for big AoE damage. So it's good to see that they've shifted some of the power away from it to the talent trees, and also have improved Rain of Fire. Next up, Firestones and Spells. The Firestones and Spellstone items that Warlocks can conjure have been reworked to make them significantly more useful. They are now consumable items instead of equipable items. Firestones can now be used to apply a temporary enchantment to your weapon, giving your melee attacks a chance to deal fire damage and increasing the damage dealt by your fire spells. Spellstones can now be used to dispel all magic effects on you without having to equip the item. However, it shares a cooldown with Hellstones. Spellstones can now be used to dispel all, so you can self-dispel with a Spellstone. That's going to have interesting PvP applications, so you can choose between like holding your Hellstone for the big HP heal, or you can choose between using the Spellstone to break free of or to dispel something. I think I don't really know the implications of this. I think in some raid fights, for instance, if there's a mechanic that puts a bad debuff on you that the priest needs to dispel, you could just have a Spellstone ready and insta-dispel that. That would be kind of nice. But Hellstones. Tired of handing out Hellstones? Even when people affectionately call them cookies? Okay, they added Ritual Souls. That's nice. Manually handing out cookies is fucking stupid. Further optimization and reworks. The changes highlighted above represent key updates to the Warlock class, enhancing utility, playstyle, variety, and raid contributions. However, Azeroth is ever evolving, and class tuning is an ongoing process. For the most up-to-date details on abilities, talents, blah blah blah. Okay, so yeah, that's everything. So some general changes here. Take a look at the spellbook. Let's see if there's anything new. No. Affliction. So yeah, just Unstable Affliction, Seed of Corruption, updated with what we discussed, and then so you see how they have the Banes. And Elements is a curse, so you could do a Curse of Elements and Bane of Doom. Amplify, instead of Amplify Curse, it's Amplify Bane. So you can get a big 50% boost to your Bane of Doom by using Amplify Bane. Very nice. Okay, demonology, let's see. Creates a major firestone that can be used to enchant the main hand weapon with fire. Granting each attack a chance to deal 80 fire damage, blah blah blah. 21 fire spell damage. Big demonic empowerment changes. Soul Pact. So this is a new spell, Soul Pact. Enter a pact with a raid or party member's soul. If the target dies while under the spell, you gain 1 soul shard and your spell damage increased by 36. So if you have a really dog shit noob in the raid that you know is gonna die, just put this buff on him and you'll be padding the DPS meters. What did they update about Incinerate? So yeah, Rain of Fire can crit, like we know. Shadow Fury. And after doing some research, it seems like Unstable Affliction, sorry, up here, it's been buffed. So Unstable Affliction's been buffed. Yeah, we have all the new curses. This has changed, as I said. Oh, it has lower damage values than TBC. Incinerate does 4-6. Yeah, okay. I was wondering, so like in TBC, yeah, I saw this, and here it's lower, but I was wondering, I'm like, why would it be lower? But I guess, yeah, it makes sense because it's vanilla WoW. For some reason, that was throwing me off, but yeah, it seems like most of the spells have had their damage tuned down. This has the crit added, just to fit in with the level 60 content. So yeah, either way, let's move on to talents now. Let's take a look. Alright, so we're here on our talent comparison sheet, where I have the TBC, Classic DB, Vanilla WoW, and Project Epoch talents. And at first glance, I'm saying that word again, the big difference is we see Demonic Sacrifice here is in the Destruction tree, whereas in TBC, it's in the Demonology tree. And to be honest, it makes way more sense for it to be in the Destruction tree. Like, Demonology is supposed to be the pet focused talent tree for warlocks, but for some reason they have this spell where you sacrifice your demon, and then so then you just don't have one. Like, whose idea was that? Demonic sacrifice. So you sacrifice your pet and it just increases your, like, it gives you a buff. But so it's kind of like the new talent in retail. I think it was added in Legion for hunters, where they have lone, I think it's called Lone Wolf or something. I don't remember what it's called. Basically, you get a buff for not having a pet. So Demonology had that in TBC, but it's a pet build. And Destruction's supposed to be like the spellcaster big crit. So it makes sense to have it here in the Destro tree. So no pets, and you just lone warlock just pumping big damage. If you see as well, so in TBC, Shadow Fury, sorry, is the N tier talent, but in Epoch they've moved it up. But yeah, those are just some of the main changes I've spotted right off the bat, but we'll go through them one by one by the rows. So for Affliction, Demo, and Destruction, everything's looking as it should. Pretty standard stuff. Then we got Aftermath in all three trees. Bane, yep. Nothing out of the ordinary so far. And then our next change here comes, well, you see the improved Bane of Agony, but Amplify Bane. So it pretty much works the same as Amplify Curse. It just buffs the new categorizations of spells, and for some reason you'd think the Curse of Exhaustion is a utility spell, but in this it's a Bane. They decided to make it a Bane, so it's the one non-damaging Curse, Bane, whatever you want to call it, that's utility focused. It's a CC. And next up, we do have improved Shadow Bite in the Affliction tree. That's a new talent we've spotted, guys. Improved Shadow Bite. Your Fell Hunter regains 5% of its maximum mana each time it hits with its Shadow Bite ability. I think Fell Hunters sometimes have problem going in TBC, and they've added improved Shadow Bite to the Affliction trees. And this, oh yeah, so this is what they've replaced. Holy, this is like a novel. I can't even, it's not even fitting on my screen. So Demonic Empowerment. This is replacing Demonic Sacrifice. So like I said, Demonic Sacrifice is here in the TBC tree, but in Epoch, we've got a new talent called Demonic Empowerment. So is this a cat? So they've backported this ability from Wrath. I figured it sounded familiar. No, there's changes. So I guess we'd be comparing it to the Wrath version here. We got menus upon menus everywhere. So Demonic Empowerment increase imp spell crit by 20% in Wrath. In this, Firebolts have a 100% chance to crit and cost no mana. So that's quite a large improvement to the Imp's Fireballs. Voidwalker summoning Demonic plating onto your Voidwalker, increasing its armor and threat gen, so it just improves its tanking capabilities. In Wrath, it gives it health and threat generated. So I'm not sure. It seems like a nerf. Threat generated by So in Epoch, it has worse threat generation, and instead of health, it just gives armor. I think health would be better. I don't see how armor is better than just like a health buff, because armor only works against one school of damage, physical. It doesn't work against magic damage. Anyway, Fell Hunter and Wrath dispels all magical effects from the Fell Hunter. In Epoch, you sacrifice 10 to 20% of your 10 to 20? What does that mean? Like, it just decides randomly or what? 10 to 20% of your maximum health to empower your Fell Hunter's spell lock ability, so it buffs the silence, reducing its cooldown by 10 seconds for 20 seconds, must be above 20% health to cast. You pop it, and then you just have a more spammable interrupt, it seems. 10 seconds? How long of a cooldown would that be on then? It'd be a pretty, quite a nice improvement to the silencing capabilities. Infernal. Your Infernal becomes immune to all attacks and spells for 6 seconds. You can't demonic empower your Infernal or Doomguard and Wrath, but in Epoch you can. So Doomguard, cast Shadow Bolt Volley, Enslaved Demon, applying. Oh, so you can even empower an Enslaved Demon, applying Demonic Frenzy to your Enslaved Demon, causing it to take 344 damage every 2 seconds, and increasing its attack speed. So you get like a good demon. The only thing I can think of is like the Felguard and Shadow Labs, but there's no Felguard and Shadow Labs because this is Project Epoch, and there's no Shadow Labs in Project Epoch, so you have to think of some good demons to enslave and give them a Giga Brumph buff. But yeah, interesting change. And then next up, Magic Conjurer in Vanilla WoW. It's called Improved Firestone, so it just buffs Firestones, but in Epoch, it just like it buffs every single thing you can conjure. So Soulstone, Hellstone, Firestones, and Spellstones. What about TBC? So in TBC it was Firestones and Spellstones, but in Epoch it's any stone, Soulstones and Hellstones too. So it's further improved upon the Master Conjurer talent. So we got the shittiest vanilla iteration where it's just Firestones, then we got Fire Spellstones, and now we have everything. And the next row, yeah, this is where they add Shadow Fury, which doesn't exist in Vanilla, and is the end talent tree in TBC. Next, and then next row, Shadow Mastery, Shadow Mastery, Shadow Mastery. We got Demonic Resilience. Yeah, and then the rest of the trees are pretty much the same. We've discussed most of the differences. So it's interesting to see what kind of theory crafting people are going to come up with Warlock now that you have Demonic Sack at the end of Destro. You have Shadow Fury here. You got a new Demonology talent. And even the Felguard throwing. Like, Demonology is a fun spec in TBC, or it appears to be. I've never played it, but it looks fun. And being able to get a 15% damage buff on your Doomguard, it's kind of a shout. So, not only that, but Unstable Afflictions buffed. So Warlock's looking like they have a lot of options here. And just like in TBC, all 3 specs seem viable, so it really depends on your playstyle. You like keeping debuffs up, Affliction, you need good uptime. You like just casting big fucking Shadow Bolt or Incinerate crits, you go Destro. Or if you like just having your pet carry you, now Demonology's got that. It's got you covered. I mean, it had you covered before, but now with Demonic Sack, or Empowerment, sorry, and like you're gonna be brumping. So I don't know what else to say. Thanks for watching. Peace.